If you've never once checked whether your super fund passed APRA's performance test, this one's for you. APRA, the regulator that oversees your super, just helped flag the products quietly dragging members' retirement balances backwards, and your fund could be one of them. Millions of Australians sit in funds they've never reviewed, and the cost of staying put compounds silently for decades. Today we'll do 3 things. Check your fund's APRA status, compare your fees, and switch only if it's genuinely weak and expensive. Here's the number that should make you sit up. 7 superannuation products failed APRA's most recent performance test, and Finder identifies them as the worst super funds in Australia for 2026. But here's the part nobody tells you. A failing product can stay open while members keep losing, compounding year after year. 3 moves. Check your fund's APRA status, compare your fees against low-cost peers, and switch only if it's both weak and expensive. Each takes under 20 minutes, and all of them are free. The first hidden cost is persistent underperformance. APRA's annual performance test is designed to catch products whose net returns lag the benchmark over a 7-year period, but a flagged fund can still stay open, so members keep losing compounding growth while nothing forces them to move. Here's why this matters for most people. No My Super funds failed in 2025, according to Finder, yet the latest test still flagged 7 failing products. Most Australians are in My Super, so the danger isn't the whole market. It's the specific weak products you have to check for yourself using APRA's 7-year net investment return column. The second layer is fees and transaction costs, and they compound the damage even when returns are merely mediocre rather than disastrous. Every extra percentage point taken in costs is money that never compounds in your account, a quiet, permanent drag on your final balance. Look at the gap. In the 2026 analysis, Australian Super's balanced option charge 0.14% in investment fees plus 0.08% in transaction costs, a total of 0.57% a year, while indexed alternatives in the same market ran from just 0.04 to 0.12%. Over decades, that difference becomes a materially lower retirement balance, even if gross market returns are similar. Here's the belief that stops people checking, and if my fund is big and well known, it probably can't be one of the worst. But APRA's performance test can flag major named products, and Finder's 2026 list shows multiple of them failing. Size and brand do not guarantee strong net returns. Put both costs side by side and the picture is stark. A balanced option near 0.57% a year versus index peers at a fraction of that, according to the 2026 analysis, plus the underperformance gap APRA's test exposes. Together, that combination can plausibly cost a mid-income worker well over $100,000 across a full career, based on Finder's 2026 and CanStar's modelling. Meet Megan. She's 39, an admin manager earning $78,000 with $112,000 sitting in a My Super balanced option and 26 years to retirement. She's never checked her fund against APRA. Here's what she found. First discovery, so it'll be 7. That's how many products are on the 2026 worst fund list after failing APRA's latest performance test, according to Finder. Megan's fund may or may not be one of them, and APRA's own heat map is the official place to find out for certain. Second discovery, 0.57%. Megan's balanced option fee set against indexed options cited at 0.04 to 0.12% in the 2026 analysis means she could be paying roughly 5 to 14 times more in ongoing costs. That's a gap she never agreed to and never saw. Third, and most jarring, around $100,000. Long-run modelling tied to APRA-style performance gaps shows a worker on a middle income can lose roughly that much over a working lifetime if their fund keeps compounding behind stronger alternatives, per Finder 2026 and CanStar. For Megan specifically, combining underperformance and higher fees can plausibly reduce her retirement savings by well over $100,000 over a full career. That uses a mid-income worker, regular contributions, 26 years of compounding, and a persistent fee and performance gap between a weak product and a low-fee indexed alternative. So, could this be you? You've never looked up your fund on the APRA heat map, you don't know your total fee as a percentage per year, and you've never compared your fund to a low-cost indexed option. If any of those ring true, the next 3 moves are written for you. These 3 moves take an afternoon, and they're worth doing because the difference between a passing low-fee fund and a failed expensive one can be 6 figures by the time you retire. We'll check your fund's APR status, compare your fees against low-cost peers, and only switch if your product is genuinely both weak and expensive. Move 1. Check your fund's APRA status. Open APRA's My Super heat map, find your product, and read 2 things: the 7-year net investment return and the pass or fail field. What good looks like is a clear pass with no warning flags. This is general information, not personal advice. Here's how. Open the heat map and select your product type. Filter to the relevant My Super category and find your row. Then compare it against APRA's benchmark and note whether it passed or failed. A clear pass on the 7-year test with no flags is the result you want. Move 2. Compare your fees against low-cost indexed peers. Use your fund's PDS or product page alongside the heat map to find your total investment fee plus transaction costs. Then compare that combined cost to the 0.04 to the 0.12% indexed range cited in the 2026 analysis. Here's how. Find your investment fee line and your transaction cost line, add them together into one total percentage per year, then compare that figure to low-cost indexed options. Good looks like a fee near the low end of the market, not materially above the indexed range. Move 3. Switch only if the product is both weak and expensive. Use the heat map to confirm underperformance, then check your provider's switching and product details before moving any money. Don't switch on price alone and don't switch on performance alone. It has to be both. Here's how. Confirm whether your issue is performance, fees, or both. Note any switching restrictions and compare a better rated My Super option before changing funds. Good looks like a fund that is both passing APRA and charging materially less than the expensive end of the market. Why now? In 2021, APRA's performance test regime began naming and shaming weak products, creating annual public accountability. In 2025, Finder reports no My Super funds failed, showing the worst results can shift into specific segments rather than the whole market. And in 2026, Finder's Roundup identifies 7 failing products, keeping this current for anyone reviewing their Super today. The benchmark rolls forward each year, so recheck. After you act, verify 3 things. You should see your product passing on the APRA heat map. You should confirm your total fee sits near the low end of the market. And if you switched, you should check the balance actually landed in the new fund. Those 3 confirmations tell you the job is done. Everything here comes from Finder's Worst Super Fund Roundup, CanStar's Heat Map Explainer, APRA's Performance Test and My Super Heat Map, and the 2026 Fee Analysis. All the links are below so you can verify every figure for yourself before you act. So today you learned how to check your fund against APRA, compare your fees to low-cost peers, and switch only when a product is both weak and expensive. Next, we'll dig into which low-fee index super funds actually win in 2026. So subscribe so you don't miss it. If this saved you from quietly losing $100,000, do one thing: subscribe to the fine print. We read the fine print on super tax and insurance so you don't have to, and we'll see you in the next one.